We are
And this is going to be a short
recording.
presentation.
Yes. All right. So thank you, everybody, for joining us today. So it's like John said, this is going to be a pretty short presentation. The goal is just to introduce the Cornell Teaching and Learning in the Diverse Classroom MOOC, which is a massive open online class that we have historically created cohorts that have worked through the material in past years. And it's been a really good experience for all of the participants. And so we're hoping to see if there are others who are interested in possibly putting together another cohort for this spring semester.
And the MOOC lasts for 5 weeks, and it was designed by some people at Cornell, and it's very well done. MOOCs are free unless you want to receive a credential, and it's about $100. Last year, we were able to get the provost's office to pay for it because we didn't have that many people doing it. I think we had about 10 or 12.
Mm-hmm.
Potentially, there could be lots of people in the MOOC. They've had tens of thousands of people in there before. Yeah, and you know, the nice thing about this MOOC is that it is very flexible, and so we can join as a cohort in you know, in different semesters, and you know, as interest builds for this. And I'm not sure what that link is, but I think it's just a general, like, what MOOCs are. Okay. Oops, sorry, we'll go back here. So this course, Teaching and Learning in the Diverse Classroom, goes through 5 modules. And so the first one focuses on who we are as an instructor, and talks about identity and its role in teaching. The next continues on about students and reflects about student identity, ameliorating bias and stereotype threat. The third dives into teaching, inclusive teaching practices. And then the fourth module goes into course content broadly about who decides what kind of content is being shared with students, and what shapes, like what institutions and processes kind of shape what gets taught. And the fifth module is called Action and Change, and that focuses on institutional change and our role as individuals within a larger university setting in creating inclusive classroom environments. And what we've done in the past is people could either do this on their own, or they could do it as a cohort. And what most people found, or at least those who attended the cohort sessions, that they really got a lot out of being in the cohort and discussing the topics that were discussed, where people worked through the MOOC content on their own, but then they got together to discuss how they might apply it, how it could work in their classes, and so forth. And we, you know, if we are going to run another, if there is interest in another cohort, we'd offer that option. And so, you know, and I can bring up, and I'm going to find that window now.
And I actually participated. I think it was the first time we did it. I think it was the first time it ran.
First or second? Was that the first time? Was, I think, in 2019.
Yeah, because it was a while ago.
It was 2019. So yeah, you yeah.
And I really liked, one thing that I liked about the Cornell MOOC was the students. They had students in there, you know, talking about their experiences, which I found really valuable to see their kind of thought process about different things that their instructors were doing and how maybe that may have impacted them, things that we may not think about. So I found that really valuable.
I think that was one of the most powerful things in it,
yes.
Because students were talking about the challenges they had with invisible disabilities,
yes.
Challenges they had experienced in terms of stereotype threat, or in terms of bias that they had experienced, right. Or in, you know, the costs of books and such things, and so on.
Or even the generalization of, oh, did everybody have a great break? Did you go home, or this and that? And not all students.
Where did you go on your
right,
break? You know, where did you travel to? And,
yeah, and not all students get that opportunity. So
yeah, so you know, if we want, we can kind of just see what the module looks like. It's really well set up. You know, typically introduces with a video
So if you've been involved in the AQ course, it's set up in a similar fashion where there's videos kind of explaining various concepts, getting different perspectives from various stakeholders in the classroom, and diving into some polls. And this is reflective of everybody who has taken the course, right? So there's thousands of data points that go into these survey responses.
I think that may have been from the first.
It might have been
iterations,
from,
because
because there's
after
been
the second
thousands and
second
thousands.
iteration, they removed a lot of the more interactive components and
Yeah.
made it a self-paced MOOC, because before that it had fixed schedules. deadlines,
And there were discussion boards that you could,
which are no
work
longer
in,
there.
but yeah.
But the videos and the resources that are provided are all very, very well done.
So yeah, there's, I really liked these reflection prompts because it gave us, a lot of jumping off points in the cohort meetings to, kind of consider different aspects of diversity and inclusion at the university level, within the classroom, and so forth. So yeah. I'll jump back out to the course generally.
And one of the reasons why we're considering doing this again is, well, it has been successful in the past, but the other issue is with that inclusive teaching certificate, this would be one way of providing some of the basic content for that. So this would be an option in place of the reading group, or supplementing the reading group, to become a little bit more engaged in that.
Yeah. So Zoe asked, how much time does it take each week? It certainly depends on how quickly you move through the material. Typically we meet.
The videos generally take about an hour or so, just for watching them. And what we did the first time is we watched some of them in person and then discussed each of them. And we get through like half to 2/3 of them in an hour-long meeting. But then in later groups, we asked people to watch. One of the problems was some of the people had already watched them, and then it was kind of a waste of their time to see them again. So we moved to just discussing them. So, and time commitment, if you joined with a cohort and you met with the other people participating, would probably be a couple of hours a week.
Yeah, that's what I would expect.
I think it's a lot less than the AQ in that sense.
Yes, and it's less than it used to be because they removed the discussion boards.
Yeah. And it's there's 5 modules. So we took it as, 1 per week. And so it was, something that we've done usually in the second half of a semester, to follow up like on a reading group or something like that.
Both. We
Yeah.
did do it in alternate weeks when we did it in the first part of the semester, or we did it in the second half of the semester.
Yeah, recently, I think, second half of the semester, and it's worked out really well because
We
it's,
were all kind of overwhelmed last year.
yeah.
And we were hoping to start the
that's fair.
transition to Brightspace, so we thought spreading it out a little was better.
Yeah.
Of course, we didn't have access to Brightspace until far too late, but that was a SUNY issue though, mostly. So basically, we just like to assess interest and answer any questions you have.
Yeah.
And if we do it, what we have allowed is the option of people attending either in person or like this, as we've done for all of our workshops.
And I think, the last time, which I think was last spring, that we, had a cohort go through the MOOC together, there were, maybe 8 to 10 participants in the group. And so we just sent out a form. We tried to find a common meeting time that would work for everybody. And
we just did one meeting time.
we
In
just did
past
one
years,
meeting
when we
time.
had more, we did 2 or 3 meeting times a week, depending on the number of people in the cohort. I think when you did it, we probably had 2 or 3 meeting times.
Yeah.
As
Yeah,
options.
because it seemed like kind of a big group. It was like right after AQ, the first time we did AQ. Yeah.
Because discussions with no one or 1 or 2 people showing up aren't very productive. If you have 25 or 30 people, then not everyone had as much chance to get involved in the discussion. So
And both Zoe and Matt in the chat said they like the idea of the second half of the semester after the reading group is done.
And that would be an option to follow it up for people after doing the reading group.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on that? I'm not sure how many people are online. So.
There's a four of us, I think.
Okay. Okay. That's
Through Zoe, Matthew, and Liz are joining us online, and then us three here.
And if we're going to do it, we want to get feedback on this, and then what we can do is we can send out an announcement that we'll start this. We'll see who else might be interested. We'll see if we can get funding again from the provost's office for a certificate. You know, you don't have to get a certificate, but the advantage of that is you do get a certificate and you get, I think it's a credit badge, and you can add it to your LinkedIn profiles or other things if you want to. But it was also a way of documentation, so that in order for the provost to pay for your registration in the MOOC, you had to provide the certificate indicating that you had actually completed all the components of the MOOC. And again, it's $100 for a certificate. It's free to take it without. The main advantage of signing up for the certificate is you get unlimited access to the materials after the class. Otherwise, a few weeks after, your access expires.
Right.
Although you're free to download any of them while you're in the course, but it's, you know. Any questions? We can
Comments,
go back to
thoughts? I'll bring you guys back here.
Reaction. Do you think you might be interested in it? The second half would be better, but if we do it in the second half, do you think you might be interested in doing it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, this has come up several times, and never time has been the right semester. Like there's just something else going on or something like that. So I've been wanting to actually do this for a while. So.
And when we switch to Canvas in the middle of no,
I wish that's one change I would actually be willing to take the hit for, right?
I really like Canvas, but I like Brightspace a lot too.
I like it better, right? There's a lot of work up front right now just to get things the way I want them, but I'm gonna like it better.
The first time you create a course in it, it's a lot of work. Or when you try.
Well, even sometimes when you push one over, you got to wonder, should I just scrap it and start it from, you know, it's just, you know, and with the Waymaker, John, you load things in, but then I got to move it to where I want it, and all the dates get set up. But, you know, those kind of bulk changes are a lot easier in Brightspace.
Yeah.
Yeah, recreating. The problem is for this semester, I'm recreating over 100 calculation questions, right? Just didn't make it.
There was one time when I had to recreate about 4,000 questions when we moved from Angel to Blackboard.
Oh, yeah.
So
Well, remember, yeah, every image disappeared, right?
every damn image disappeared because, yeah.
Zoe just mentioned that, assuming the meeting schedule works, that would be a good option. Well, that's great to hear. So,
Especially for Maggie, because
yeah.
she's going to be on leave.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in single digits now. I don't know, you know, how much longer. That's why I'm periodically needing to stand up to not go into labor. Well,
Any other questions?
yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Well, we can give you back some time then. This was a short one. We have much more. We have about an hour of stuff for each of the next couple of 20-minute sessions. So we'll make up for there.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.